hit enter on that.
That helps.
I never posted it. I copied it into the line and never posted.
It's a very high.
Hey, we're live. Hi, guys. I posted this podcast. Well, the start of it. You'll have to tune in at the end to see how we end it. You know, it goes all the way from the beginning to the end every week.
Bum, bum, bum. And this week, we've replaced Wit's End.
We have. Well, there's no replacing him.
Well,
we're
that's
definitely
true.
a mustache down, but but the show must go on. So how about if I do a little...
They're called Search and Rescue. We're a mustache down.
Oh, you post... Well, that'll be for the after show. We have to talk about North Shore Search and Rescue's frequent flyer program.
Yeah. The task.
Okay, here we go. I'm going to record. We're going to do some music, and off we go. Believe it or not, it's Thursday night, and here we are right on the internets, the place we always are on Thursday evenings. Welcome to Caching in the Northwest. This is the only podcast dedicated to geocaching in the Great Pacific Northwest. We're going to talk about caches and caches unique to this little corner of the country. So put down your phone and use your geosense. It's time to go caching in the Northwest. And we can't do that until we bring in our frostbitten monkey. Some say his left index finger is magnetically attuned to the North Pole, and others say he speaks fluent Narwhal. All we know is he's called Land Monkey,
which is Narwhal. For hey, folks, thanks and welcome to the show. We want to thank our sponsors, including our newest sponsor, Kid Vegas 19. Thank you very much for joining us and in sponsoring us on a weekly basis. We really appreciate that.
Or even monthly.
Or monthly basis, yeah. But, you know, whatever works. We're okay with it either. And, of course, our faithful Denali level supporters, that would be Limax, the Mount Vernon Parks and Recreation Department, and, of course, worldcaching.com. And, folks, if you want to know more about supporting the show, remember to click the Patreon link in the cachingnw.com website. Now, enough of our shameless self-promotion. Let's talk about what we're going to talk about tonight. That was a little meta. But tonight we're going to talk with Rock Chalk, friend of the show, Chris Ronan from geocaching.com. Chris, so awesome to have you back with us once again.
It's always a pleasure to talk with you guys. I don't know. I'm feeling a little disappointed that Wit's End isn't here. I kind of feel like I was led to believe he would be here, and it's part of the reason why I, agreed to come on. If I would have known it was just going to be Jay and Chris, I may have found a rerun of a TV show to watch. But yeah. So here I am. Anyway, you guys tricked me into it, and I don't know.
Well,
we'll just kind of see how it goes. I mean, I don't know.
Chris, I got to tell you, I totally understand. It's the same way I feel if I come down to Geocaching HQ. And I don't find Ben?
Well, you're the only one that feels that way about that. Let's not. Do we really need to bring him into the discussion already?
Well, you started it off, and I just thought, well, let's see if I can return that service.
I have to see him for 8 hours a day, and then people bring him up in the evening. That just seems unnecessary.
All right. Done.
We're done. We're over. We're over with him. Moving on.
Don't worry, you'll have I Love Lucy later on the DVR to watch.
Right.
But every week, we talk about the glow. What is a glow? It's the geocaching log of the week. But we need your glows. You see, we do this segment, as I said, every week. So every week we read a glow. And guess what? That pile of glows that we have, that glowing pile, it gets smaller and smaller as time goes on. So we need your glows to add to that. So whether you wrote it or not, we want to hear about it. Send an email to feedback@cachingnw.com. Do you know what's even better?
No, what's even better?
It's better if you call in to 253-693-TFTC, or use the voicemail tool on the website and show us how you glow in your very own voice. Now, this week's glow comes from the originator of glow. That's Dora Moore. And reading the glow this week is our very special Chris Ronan, or Rock Chalk. Which do you prefer?
For you, either.
I just realized
How about for me?
Real life initials and your geocaching initials are just reversed of each other.
Oh,
Wow.
You're the first one to notice that.
It's like
But that was the point all along.
Oh, good.
nice.
Yes, this is great. I get to read this. So this is from Dora Moore, and here we go. How's this for a glow and a pretty funny story? It's the log I just wrote for GC54P23, a mystery cache called The Sky is Falling. I found this one at Royal Oak SkyTrain Station after I spent a couple of hours trying to solve a puzzle, not necessarily the puzzle. A muggle contacted me through the Metro Vancouver Geocachers Facebook page a few days ago to tell me he had found a geocache stuck to his truck and said he'd like to get it back to where it belonged. I asked some questions about it, and he was able to send me a photo of the nano container, a date from the logbook, and a couple of names. I went into sleuth mode and started looking for finds that might match the information, but I came up empty until I contacted Monkey Dogfish, one of the names I'd been given, and asked for some help. Lucky for me, he takes photos of caches and logbooks and sent me a pic of one he found a couple of weeks after the date I had been given. A quick check back with the muggle to get a photo of his logbook confirmed we had found it. It was The Sky is Falling. I sent a message to the CO but have had no response. Not wanting the muggle to lose interest, I agreed to meet with him today to get the container from him. Marty the Caveman and Nankikaro? What is it again?
Nankikaro
came along for the fun and the find, and we completed Operation Muggle Meetup at 12:30 this afternoon. We signed the logbook, and now I'm waiting to hear from the CO as to where and when we can meet for Operation Cash Transfer. This one was a lot of fun. Thanks for what is now one of my favorite puzzle caches. Wow.
I love it.
So, Chris, have you heard a story of that ilk come through Geocaching HQ before?
I've heard a lot of crazy stories, but that one is definitely up with the craziest. It's that one's pretty wild.
How do you get a cache to stick to someone's car? I mean, what did you do with that nano cache? Throw it up in the air and just happens to stick to a fender?
That's the part that we're all kind of really curious about, is how that nano went from wherever it's supposed to be. And, none of us are necessarily too sure about that yet. To the muggle's truck. That's really unusual.
And can you imagine the muggle thinking, what is this stuck on my vehicle? In this day and age, it could be a GPS tracker. Who knows?
Yeah. There you go.
Oh, Wino Seattle in the chat says, man, you Canucks have some serious geocaching names.
We try. You got to do something to keep yourself entertained through the winter.
During the winter.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, how about some news? I think we've got a few news items here.
This I found interesting. I just found it today on wired.com that says that Mount St. Helens is keeping up its unsettled 2016, this time with a small earthquake swarm. Have you ever heard a swarm of earthquakes? I
don't think I want to.
The USGS detected over 120 earthquakes over the last few days, all occurring 2 to 4 kilometers, that's 1 to 2 miles, beneath a volcano, and all very small, less than M1. I assume an M scale is, the volcano scale, like earthquake and hurricane. Yeah.
Yep.
These earthquakes, like the ones that happened earlier this year, are likely to caused by magma moving over faults, adjusted as pressure changes within the magnetic system, sorry, That's an odd word, underneath Mount St. Helens. It doesn't change the status of the volcano. It's active, taking what likely will be a brief rest before its next eruption, which could still be years from now. So there you go.
Do you guys remember where you were the last time Mount St. Helens erupted?
Only too well.
How about you, Chris?
You know, at the time I lived in Kansas and I was, a kid. So I mean, I certainly remember it. I mean, it was such a huge story, but I think it would be different for someone who lived here at the time. And I think it would absolutely be one of those where was I moments. But for me, living a couple thousand miles away, it's one of those, yeah, of course I remember the news event, but where I was exactly, I wouldn't be able to. I was probably doing something that what would I have been? That was 80 what? What year was that?
81?
81, so yeah, I was
that
7.
Seems about right.
I was 7? Yeah, so whatever a 7-year-old was doing.
I remember I was in Victoria at my grandmother's place out on her balcony, and definitely heard it, and then we found out about it later. And of course, Victoria, being at the south tip of Vancouver Island, that's a pretty clear shot over a lot of water. So the sound definitely made the movement there. How about you, Chris?
Wow. I was in Ohio, so I don't. I remember the news about it. Wow, an eruption, and I remember my dad calling me outside and said, "Come here," and up in the sky you could see the jet stream. And the jet stream had all the ash in it. So it was this black streak across the entire width of the sky there. It was something. I was like, wow, what's it? That's volcanic ash.
Wow.
Yeah. That was something else. All right. Well, speaking of something else, let's move to another news story. Folks, we want to let you know that it's Canada's 150th anniversary this coming year, 2017. So celebrate Canada 150. Free admission is here. That's right. With 2017 being the 150th anniversary of the Confederation of Canada, Canada's gift to you, geocachers, is the 2017 Discovery Pass, giving free admission for the entire year to Parks Canada places from coast to coast to coast, because we have 3 coasts in Canada. So yeah, find adventure, fun for the whole family, or a short break from the everyday. There's never been a better time to make your Parks Canada dream a reality. And if you want to start planning your next visit, go to parkscanada.gc.ca/visit.
You know what? You don't have to be a Canadian to do that. I went ahead and signed up for one.
As did I.
Awesome. Why not? I'm planning to go up there in 2017. So, did I? No, I'm not. I'm not going to go there at all.
All right. The seed is planted.
There you go. I figured, well, may as well go into some parks. I bet they have geocaches in those parks.
So I have to ask, if you guys both signed up, do you have any particular national park in Canada that you're really interested in checking out?
Just the ones with geocaches.
Well, I'm pretty sure almost all of the national parks in Canada have earth caches. I'll tell you that much.
I haven't really, I mean, as far as going just across the Washington BC border, I really haven't explored the national parks that are closest to that area. So, for me, there's a lot of virgin territory there. So I just kind of thought, I saw this offer and I thought, wow, what a great enticement to get people, not just in Canada, but other places in North America to say, oh, wow, there's a good excuse for me to finally make that trip and check out some of those cool places that they have available.
And I can pretty much guarantee there won't be a wall, so you should be able to come on up.
Well, we hope not.
I thought Canada was building one.
I love that video. All right. Anyways, so yeah, that's awesome. Hey, when you guys are coming up here, let me know.
Oh, totally.
Nope, complete surprise.
Okay. Or just come on up and then tell me on the next podcast afterwards. Hey, guess what?
I was up in Canada this weekend and didn't find anybody I knew.
You don't know Jim from Toronto?
Oh, hey, did you
Yes.
know our friends and great supporters at World Caching are providing a travel bug prize for December? You
I
might have
did know
heard
that.
about it. This theme this month are those wonderfully colored Christmas sweaters. They've become all the rage. Geocaching.com. Chris, I don't know if you know about this. Geocaching.com created a new ugly sweater trackable.
I did know about that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, are those going off the shelves like hotcakes?
Well, they're ugly sweaters, so of course. I mean,
Of course.
why would you not want to have one?
Well, Chris, if you didn't get one, you could win one simply by posting a picture of an ugly Christmas sweater and the hashtags ugly sweater and caching NW.
That's true. And you don't even have to be wearing the sweater, although, it would be cool if you are. But it can be on someone else. It can be on a rack in a store. Hey, it can be on your favorite geocaching community volunteer.
Ooh.
But we encourage you to be creative, have fun with it. Make sure you post a photo with the hashtag ugly sweater and hashtag caching NW as soon as you can to be entered right away.
Or you could even post an ugly sweater on a whiskey bottle. Just saying. Might have happened. So, Chris, we are delighted to have you back on the show. Now, we do have some geocaching.com questions for you. But before we get into those, do you personally have any geocaching plans for the holiday season? You going to ditch your family and go out caching?
No, I'm not going
to. You can't say that now. They might
I'm not planning on ditching anybody. No, but we're actually planning on undertaking a bit of a road trip, and we're not really sure exactly where we'll end up. We're going to start. Unfortunately for my Canadian friends, I'm heading south instead of north. And we're going to
understandable this time of year.
Right. I think it's just the best idea. It's the best thing to be doing. But yeah, we're going to head south through Oregon and maybe even get into Northern California a little bit. We did a similar trip 3 or 4 years ago when we were living in the Midwest, and we headed east, not knowing exactly where we'd end up. And it was really cool, we ended up going through, we went Nashville, we ended up in Alabama, Georgia, south in North Carolina, back through Kentucky, and it was just a blast. And it was kind of open-ended. Basically our main rule was making sure we knew where we would be the next night. And aside from that, it was just kind of see, what we want to do and what cool things pop up, and geocaching, of course, leads you to a lot of those really cool places. So I've got a massive bookmark list going, and we'll see where it takes us.
Nice. That's always fun to see where the road will take you.
Yeah.
You get to see those out of the way landmarks that are very memorable, but yet, maybe not worth a destination vacation in and of themselves.
Oh, totally. And for us, really, we haven't, the area between, not too far south of Eugene, Oregon, is fairly unfamiliar to us. So I'm looking forward to checking out that area between there and Northern California, and I don't know, maybe visit the redwoods, maybe, I don't know what, just kind of see what happens.
I took a drive through the redwoods a couple of years ago, and it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, that's been one of my bucket list items for a long time, and then there's some things that I was looking like at Crater Lake, for instance, and I thought maybe, but that's a better, like, there's some things that, given that it's winter and there's so much snow in some places, that I'll have to go back during a summer, but but there's a lot of other cool stuff that will definitely be available. So we'll see what happens.
That sounds like a great trip.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that with us, Chris. We always appreciate you being, giving us the opportunity to talk to you like an actual person, as well as somebody who works at geocaching.com.
As opposed to the robots that work at HQ.
Well, you know how it is,
Ben's
right?
a robot. I don't know if you guys knew that about Ben, by the way. He is a cyborg.
He is so lifelike.
I know. It's not until you spend several hours in a row with him that occasionally there will be a malfunction in his coding, and he starts twitching, and his eyes roll around and then he's not real. But the rest of the time, he seems absolutely like you and me. So yeah,
Wow.
there are robots at HQ, but I'm not one of them.
Are you saying HQ is a lot like Westworld?
I'm not familiar. I'm not familiar with Westworld. What is that? Is that a TV show?
They just recently relaunched it, but it was a 70s movie with Yul Brynner.
Well, I can't believe I didn't see that.
That's the one worth watching right there. Yeah, about robots, and you take this expensive vacation and you can do anything.
I'll have to check that out. I haven't heard of it.
Yeah.
Well, you don't really need to check it out. You're living it, apparently.
Yeah.
Right.
But yes, so on that note, and we are interested in some geocaching HQ news, and the first thing we wanted to ask is what the feedback from the community is currently looking like, how it's shaping up regarding the future of the recovered Tunnel of Light ape cache. Do you have any timelines on when a decision might be made or announced based on the user feedback?
Yeah, so the first phase, as you guys know, was that we put a survey out there. Actually, the blog post just announcing it to anybody who hadn't heard about it, and then with that was a survey where we asked for feedback on what ideas the community might have for what the next step should be for this recovered ape cache, and we had a great response, something like 9,000 survey responses, which is a great number, a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of interesting ideas. And so what we're doing right now is going through the ideas and trying to see what's viable. And then the goal is in early January, the first or second week of January, that we can hopefully get out the final vote, the final options, maybe 3 to 5 possibilities, and the community will vote on it, and whatever the community decides is what's going to happen. So we're excited to get that out to people, and there's been a lot of enthusiasm about it, not just here in the Northwest, where you would expect that there would be, of course, because it's close to home, but people all over the world have a keen interest in, and it was just an exciting thing, for that group of folks to take the initiative to go out there and see if they could find it, and really cool that they did.
Absolutely, and I think at least one of them is watching the show live tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I heard that name earlier.
Nice. Well, moving on to other topics, because we have you for just such a limited time. We have so many questions. Our keen-eyed listeners, you notice that conundrum there? Keen-eyed listeners may notice a change in the geocaching.com app, maps, and icons as far as the app and website. There we go. Happened on Thursday, December 8th. Can you tell us a little bit of the reason behind that, and are there any other major website changes coming?
Well, the change from December 8th was to the website map, and largely was to bring consistency between the website map and the map that you see on the apps. As far as other major changes, the biggest stuff that I think you'll see in the near future is going to be related to the app as opposed to the website. But there is some stuff coming to the site that's more functionality based as opposed to appearance. Obviously, the change last week was very noticeable, and we knew it would engender a lot of feedback on covering the whole spectrum, and so we've been taking that into account and seeing if there's any place where we can make tweaks and that sort of thing. But as far as in the immediate future for other changes, I think it's going to be more related to the app. Specifically, the next big change will be offline maps coming to the app, and that will be very, very soon. I would say within the next couple of weeks at the latest, maybe a lot sooner than that. It kind of depends on when you submit a new app or an app update to the to the iTunes store and that sort of thing. It kind of depends on how long it takes to go through their approval process. But offline maps will be coming pretty quickly, and we think that will be something that people enjoy quite a bit, because that's been one of the biggest hangups for some folks that still haven't moved over from the old classic app into the new app. The fact that offline maps weren't available for download, and so now that that's going to be coming, that hopefully will be something that people really enjoy having.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's going to be a huge one. And definitely, I really, personally, being an Android user, haven't really moved off of CGO entirely onto the geocaching.com app, in large part because of the lack of downloadable maps. So looking forward to that change. I noticed that in the Q&A, I just want to call it the Q&A. I just haven't gotten out of that chat. We were asked, what did I miss? And I think in context to the change that was made to the maps, and that's the change that was shared with us last week. Go ahead, Chris.
Right. No, so basically what you missed is just that the website map basically looks a lot more now like the map that you would have seen on the free app, that the free geocaching app. So
it's free. It's no longer intro app, is it?
Yeah, it's no longer intro app. It's just the geocaching app, and so yeah, that's it. That's the major thing that you would have missed, was that the map looks different now as far as the icons, and so yeah, check it out.
Hard to miss if you go to the map.
Right? No. Exactly. You would definitely notice it, and it's one of those things where a lot of people love it, and a lot of people it's going to take some time to get used to, as any change is. I don't mean to sound flippant when I say this, but sometimes I think for some of us who really dislike change, I think, gosh, I think some people would love it if the map looked like it did in 2001. If it never would have changed. I mean, but again, that sounds flippant to say that, and I don't mean it to. But change is difficult, especially when you have and it's like this for me too. I look at that map every single day, and so the first time that I saw the new layout, I was like, oh my gosh, that's just kind of a shock to the system for me. And then maybe other people who don't look at it as often, or who maybe cache more with the app than they do with the website, it isn't going to be a big deal for them. So again, the feedback has kind of run the full spectrum, and personally, I'm kind of liking it, and we'll kind of see what happens from here.
I think the map is much more readable when you zoom out. I mean, before, the states and the cities would be entirely covered by geocaches, and they were unreadable. So
that's fair enough.
But that's my opinion, and that really doesn't count. Are there any plans for another souvenir challenge coming up? Last year at this time, we had the, Goodbye 2015, Welcome 2016. Is there anything we know coming up for, maybe the end of the year or early 2017?
Yeah, no, there's nothing coming up for New Year's like we did last year. We were pretty heavy on souvenirs over the last half of the year, and I think there was a feeling that you kind of have to strike that balance between overloading people with them to where you get some folks that are like, okay, enough already. I'm getting a souvenir for everything. And then you get some folks that love having souvenirs, so they want you to keep it coming. So, we want it to be something that is special and that people enjoy getting, and we're not just doing the same stuff all the time is another issue. We did hello, goodbye for this last New Year's, and it just didn't feel right to just copy it and do it again. So we're not doing a New Year's thing, but certainly as 2017 starts up, no doubt there will be some other stuff coming down the pike.
Maybe another Beatles song.
What's that?
Another set of souvenirs based off a Beatles song.
That'd be pretty cool.
Hello, goodbye.
Yeah.
Yellow
Submarine, right?
Maybe not that. I was going to throw out there in early February in Canada, we have a new provincial holiday, that's called Family Day, where everybody's encouraged to get together as families and go do an activity. So, there's an option.
Well, you guys have got another bigger thing coming up later in the year, don't you?
We do. And one of our news stories earlier, we talked about 2017 being Canada's 150th birthday. And July 1st, 2017 is Canada Day. So there are actually a lot of outdoors and other related celebrations and activities being announced. In fact, as most Canadians may know, Good Old Participation is actually running an online survey encouraging Canadians to choose their top 150 outdoor activities. But I'm asking on behalf of Canadian geocachers, is there any possibility of geocaching.com participating or co-celebrating Canada's 150th in some way?
There is a possibility, yes.
Wow, that was not committal.
I answered your question, Jay.
You did.
I would say that we are aware of the significance of that milestone that's coming up. I will put it that way. So our folks are having discussions about it for sure.
Nice.
I can't ask anything more than you guys to discuss. Well, I can ask more, but I can't expect any more than you guys to discuss it.
No, we completely understand you can't spill the beans on everything. But the next one, here's what I want to know. You've got to spill on this one. There's been a lot of changes here for geocaching.com and the worldwide family of volunteers and users who participate in this game we love. Can you give us a sense of if we're expecting the same pace of change into 2017?
Well, I know that our product teams have some very interesting stuff on their roadmap, and some things that are, I think, going to really appeal to a really wide range of the community, not just new players and not just veteran players, but both. I think there's going to be something for everybody coming down the road. Certainly, the first part of the year, there will be a lot happening with the geocaching app, because we'll be retiring the classic app in March. So, and we had promised to, before we do that, make sure that we got the most important features from the classic app into the free app. So that would be offline maps that we just talked about a little bit ago, draft logs, and then additional log types being the main things that you will be seeing between now and March. So certainly here the rest of this month, January and February, is going to be a lot related to the app. But there is some really cool stuff being worked on for the website, and stuff that I'm personally very excited about. So I think that when you ask if there's going to be a lot of change, I think the better way to put it is there's going to be a lot of
advancement.
Advancement. It's not just change for change's sake. It's
right.
it's some advancement, and I think that that's another thing that those of us that have been playing the game a long time, it's maybe been a fair point that people have brought up, is that when is there going to be something new? When are you going to do something different from what's already there? The look changes a lot, but the functionality hasn't always kept up pace. And there's some really cool ideas being talked about right now, and some groundwork being laid for what I think will be functionality that people are really going to get a lot of use out of.
Very cool. And yeah, I mean, you're right. You're not gonna please everybody all the time. And it has definitely been a busy year for you guys. And with everything you have yet to do into the new app in a couple of months, you guys are going to be flat out. That's
well, the mobile team has, I think, been doing some great work, especially over the last, noticeable additions to the free app have been coming pretty quickly here over the last 2 or 3 months. And again, I just for me personally, it's offline maps and draft logs are kind of the two things that are really big for me personally when I'm out caching with the app. And it's one of the reasons why I still personally, I mean, I'm probably more of a GPS cacher most of the time anyway, but when I do use the app, I tend to still fall back on the classic app to some degree because I still I go out, off of cell coverage, and I need to be able to have my maps, and I need to be able to save a draft log because I don't like to type my log on the screen. I like to just type in a few notes and then save it for later and send in a log later. And I can't do that right now with the free app, but I'll be able to do that here very, very soon. And so, yeah, I'm excited about it. And not just that, not just the app, because I know sometimes people have a feeling like, oh, all you guys care about is the app. But that's why I'm excited about some of the stuff coming to the website and some of the functionality that we're talking about finally bringing to life. And so, yeah, I think when we talk again at this time next year, we're going to have some pretty cool stuff to be reminiscing about having happened during the course of 2017.
Well, hopefully we'll get a chance to talk to you before a year goes by, but
you won't. I'm not coming back until I'll do this again next December, but that's the
and
next.
Only if Wits End is here.
And only if Wits End is here.
Alrighty then.
I have certain conditions, guys.
What about like a cardboard cutout right here? Would that work?
It might. It might.
Okay. We still could have him say things like the after show. See, it's like he's here.
That does make me feel warm inside. So thank you for playing that.
Well, it's important to feel warm inside this time of year.
It is, yes.
But yeah, you're right. There's a lot. There have been a lot of changes, and some people are maybe a little more resistant to changes than others. But like yourself, as predominantly a GPS user and not so much an app user myself, definitely seeing some of the improvements coming through on the website is going to be exciting. Again, there's been some great change this past year. I'm curious what kind of feedback you're getting from the players, but also from the volunteers, because they rely pretty heavily on the tools as well.
Oh, absolutely, they do, and that's kind of a separate thing that the community doesn't tend to see, is that our engineers, they obviously work on stuff for the app and stuff for the public facing portion of the website, but they're also always trying to find ways to improve the reviewer tools so that the volunteers can do what they do in a more efficient way for them. And so we're always soliciting feedback from the volunteer community and seeing what kind of tools they would like to see added to their arsenal, so to speak. And so we've got some stuff in the hopper for them as well, and hopefully stuff that'll make what they do a more pleasant experience for them.
Awesome. Well, we always appreciate what they do, and we try and make sure that we express that appreciation as often as we can on the show, because it's one of those. I know they do get some thanks from Geocaching HQ, but they don't always get a lot of thanks from the from the players. So,
well, but I think I think it's one of those things where they do what they do so well that I know before I came to work at HQ, I never personally knew the volunteers in my area. I appreciated what they did, but I didn't really truly appreciate the extent of what they did, because for every person like me who just submitted a pretty simple cache listing and maybe didn't have much feedback back and forth, it was just easy and it got published. There are folks out there that have more involved stuff, and you'll see reviewers that go back and forth, trying really hard to help people get their caches published, and they truly have just a great enjoyment for helping people and helping us play this game. And So my appreciation for them, just because I work with them daily, has just grown by leaps and bounds. And yeah, I try to sing it from the rooftops whenever I have a chance to. That if you haven't had a chance to thank your local volunteer, think about doing that, because they give so much time to the community, and they help us play this game the way this game that we love to play. So yeah, it's really remarkable what they give to all of us.
Absolutely, right on. Well, hey, I'm going to segue into my next question, and I noticed that the tags rant have been applied to my next comment. So steady yourself, Chris. That all said, honestly, this is a topic in the past I have ranted on, but I have come around to, through education, understanding a little bit more about this topic. And so what I want to do is express what once was a rant as a constructive question for Geocaching HQ, and learn how we can make a constructive change to geocaching in Canada. So here we go. Trackable promotions. So yeah, pet peeve in the past for me. Still none of them happening with Canadian outfitters or retailers. So my question is, what's the best way for us Canadians to encourage our favorite businesses, Tim Hortons, Canadian Tire, Mountain Equipment Co-op, to get on board with a trackable promotion that's going to be available to us up here in Canada? On that note, are there any businesses up here that geocaching.com has kind of eyed and said, we'd like to partner with them?
Well, yeah, absolutely. We would love to partner with family-friendly brands that have products or services that has some kind of an overlap with the geocaching community. The most recent example of a trackable promotion was Urban Adventures, and they offer guided tours of cities that takes visitors to places that only locals would know about. So that service had a really direct overlap and tied in nicely with geocaching, and it was a great fit. So if the Canadian geocaching community has a brand like that in mind that they think would be a good fit, they can email us directly, or they can. We actually have a portion of the website. It's called geocaching.com/partner with us. Or I also think geocaching.com/promotions is another page that would work too. Generally, brands contact us because they are introduced to geocaching through a coworker or through family and friends, and through customers. So if there are folks north of the border that know of a brand that has a product or service that would overlap well with geocaching, absolutely introduce them to geocaching, or send suggestions our way, and our promotions team will totally want to reach out to them. But it's one of those things where, gosh, if we could have countless Canadian trackable promotions going, we would love to be able to do it. But it takes two to tango too. So you have to find the right partner to work with, and a product or a company that feels like the geocaching community would be a good outlet for them to be talking to.
So if I heard you right, Chris, there's kind of a two-pronged attack if us Canadians want to make this happen. One is contact those, via social media, I would assume, those retailers. And again, I'm going to throw out Tim Hortons, I'm going to throw out Canadian Tire, I'm going to throw out Mountain Equipment Co-op, all easy crossovers to the geocaching community. Most geocaching events happen at a Tim Hortons, and
I'm sure there are no other places to eat in Canada.
There you go. But then two of our major outdoor outfitter organized Canadian-based companies. So one angle is contact them through social media and send them the links that you shared with us. And then the other side, if I understood correctly, is to send to you guys. Here's our suggestions of what companies we think would work, or is that helpful?
Yeah, no, you could email us and say, hey, have you guys ever thought about working with fill in the blank? And it helps our promotions team be able to identify companies that maybe they haven't thought of, or maybe weren't familiar to them. one thing that I think that we tend to forget as geocachers is that not everybody knows what geocaching is. And so there are certainly marketing managers at companies and what have you that they have no idea that there's geocachers having events at Tim Hortons all the time, So once they're opened up to this game and this great community, and it tends to be a very attractive thing to them. If there are like-minded people in the geocaching community, a trackable promotion can be a really great way to engage with them. And certainly our promotions team, once they have people to talk to, they have plenty of case studies and statistics and all that stuff to try to make it even more clear what the benefit is to a company. And so, yeah, we would love it if we could be having those kinds of promotions in Canada. That would be a really neat thing.
Awesome. Well, it is going to be a personal mission now that I have clear instructions on how to get this done.
Well, and to be absolutely clear, it's the company's choice where they want to target their advertising or this campaign. So this one, Urban Adventures, wants to target the U.S., and that's why they're doing it this way. So it's not that Canada is excluded, but you've got companies that are looking to target specific regions. So,
and sometimes they just say, I don't want to target Land Monkey, so how do I stay away from lands? We hear that a lot. So
sure. Yeah.
So that's one of the deals too that we have to work around.
Well,
because you have a wide breadth of influence in Canada. So once they hear, oh, he's in Canada, that's
stay away from that.
We're done. We're finished.
Have you tried to pronounce some of those other geocacher names in Canada? It's impossible.
Well, actually, Chris, I appreciate you explaining that to me, because I was always kind of wondering what was going on. And, as they say, it's only paranoia if you think that someone's out to get you. So now that I'm actually clear on that, I'm not paranoid. So it's very helpful.
Because they're coming to get you.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Oh, that's awesome. But you know what? It's like I said, it's one of those things. In the past, I've ranted about. I've invested some time to try and understand how that works, to learn the business model a little bit. I've actually read through the marketing pages on your guys' website, and that's where I came to the realization that we actually, as Canadian geocachers, need to go after these companies and tell them to talk to you. But to get that clarification from you guys is really helpful, and hopefully our listeners up here in Canada will take action. We'll get out there, and there's nothing else to do in the winter in Canada. Let's marketing.
Let's target companies.
Yeah.
I love it. Chris, thank you so much for spending time with us this evening. We appreciate it. I know our listeners appreciate it. And thank you. If our listeners wanted to stalk you, find out more about you online, where could they go?
Well, I think what am I, Geo Rock Chalk on Instagram? I think I am, and Twitter. And so I'm going to try to, on my road trip, I'll try to be better about sharing some of the adventure. I don't always do a great job of that. I see
the summer.
Yeah, I had a pretty good run there going during the summer. It's funny, whenever we go out, it's usually my wife takes great photos, and I'll get home and I'll be like, oh my gosh, she took all these great photos of me caching. Like, I won't know that she's taking the pictures, and I'll think, God, that would have been a great Instagram shot. So maybe I'll do a catch up. Maybe I'll just post a random series of photos from the last several weeks. But
every Tuesday we'll be looking for that.
Right. But I'm on Instagram and Twitter, and I'll try to do better about if I have some cool experiences here over the next few weeks.
Nice. What about you, Land Monkey? Where could people who are trying to avoid you know where not to look?
Well, absolutely. So stay out of Canada, unless next year you want to come up here and enjoy our national parks. The website. Sorry.
For free.
That's right, for free, man. The website is landmonkey.blogspot.ca. And of course, Twitter, Instagram, Periscope @LandMonkeyGC. We're on Facebook, Team Land Monkey, and of course on YouTube. Just search Land Monkey on YouTube, and there's well over 100 videos of geocaching adventures, not quite up to the level of Rock Chalk, but
billions of videos.
I just remembered, Jay, I found a cache over the weekend that you had found fairly recently. It was I think it was called Mount Erie Climb, outside of where the heck was I? It was a 4.5 terrain cache, and it said that Mrs. Land Monkey had gone at it from the top and you came up from the bottom, and where the heck was it? Does that one sound familiar to you?
Yeah, that one. I know which one you're talking about now. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. That was one of our recent hashtag geocache road trips down south.
And where was it outside? I can't believe I'm forgetting. It was like last weekend. What's that again?
Whidbey Island?
Right. Yeah, that's right. Whidbey Island. Yeah, because we did I guess it was Sunday. We drove up to Anacortes and then we went over to the island that's just north of Anacortes it's like a 2-minute ferry ride over to that island, and then we came back from there, and then we headed south past Deception Pass, and then we saw this 4.5 terrain, and I thought, ooh, I'd like to try that. And then I saw you. I think you may have been the most recent log on it.
That one, it was crazy. It was the wind was blowing the pouring rain horizontal when I did that little climb.
Ooh, that's it
was definitely a 4.5 when I did it.
Right. Well, it's kind of a scary deal because it's really slippery rocks, and there's this really sad. Did you see the plaque?
We read all
really
the
sad plaque about this young kid that died many years ago when he slipped and fell, and you see that and you're like, do I really want to go over to the but yeah, it turned out not being as bad as it could have been. But if it would have been raining with whipping winds, I wouldn't have wanted any part of that. So,
well, that's
nice work.
That's the monkey part of Land Monkey.
That's right. And what's funny, Chris, is on that same road trip, we basically went from the south of Whidbey Island and worked our way up to the north. We did find a handful of caches where I saw your name on them. So
oh yeah,
we enjoyed.
Oh, that's cool.
All right. Hey, Mr. of the Northwest, how do people find you?
Well, just look for Caching NW. That could be on Facebook. It could be Google+. It could be Twitter. Or it could be .com. Of course, you can also head on over to cachingnw.com/hosts and read our bios and find the links that we just mentioned, and maybe a few more. We keep secret ones on there.
All right. Hey, do you want me to close?
Sure.
All right. Well, Chris Ronan, Chris of the Northwest, and all of our listeners tonight, we want to thank you for taking the time to listen to this episode of Caching in the Northwest. Remember that you can be a part of this show. All you have to do is call 253-693-TFTC, leave us a comment, ask a question, or email us a fruitcake any time of the day or night. And of course, you can email us at feedback@cachingnw.com. And remember that your support helps to keep quality shows coming. So if you liked this show, please click the Patreon link on the cachingnw.com website and send Chris Ronan an email to say, please come back on the show within a year. All right. Hey, folks, this show is licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license. Copy all right, 2016 by Chris Umfenauer. And now, folks, we kindly ask you to stay tuned for
the after show.
It's like he's here.
It makes me feel warm inside. Yeah.
Well, we have, Chris, thank you so much. If you have to go, we completely understand. We're going to go through some of the comments in the chat and just, have a grand old time.
Okay. Thanks, guys. Good to see you.
That's it. He's gone. Tracy from World Caching mentioned that if people are doing the ugly sweater, the hashtag ugly sweater, hashtag Caching NW contest, that if they tweet or use Instagram or even Facebook, make sure that your account isn't set to private, because if you do that, we can't see it. So make sure you're posting that on a public place that everybody can look.
That helps. Yep. Good advice.
Tracy is so nice.
Yeah.
I know you probably didn't know that. This will come as a shock to you.
Tell us more.
But she says, If they don't want to open their account, they can email their entry to tracy@worldcaching.com and she will tweet it for them.
That's
the
awesome.
same can be true for feedback@cashingnw.com or tracy@worldcaching.com. And, you know, if you're looking for those last minute, well, it's going to be last minute very soon, geocaching gifts, head on over to worldcaching.com. They do great work there.
That's a good point. Hey, actually, on that note, maybe Tracy, since she's in the chat right now, can answer the question: is it too late for people to order Christmas gifts online from worldcaching.com? Is there still time?
I can say there's still time because I just ordered some.
Oh, well, there you go.
Well, might have been earlier this week.
Very nice.
You know, still talking about tweets and such. I noticed that MEC and Grail liked your tweets that you mentioned their product. And I thought that's a great introduction to geocaching right there. You know, when they realize, oh, people are tweeting about us and we're going to like it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and you know, it ties back to this whole idea that we were talking to Chris Ronan about earlier, about how do you get organizations to get engaged with the whole idea of getting trackable promotions. You know, as geocachers, we love trackable promotions. We love the cool, unique trackables that come out. And
I mean, I really want to win a Jeep.
There you go. Might be a little late, but keep trying. Yeah. So yeah, you know, all that kind of stuff, all it takes is to send a tweet, do an @MEC, @Canadian Tire, @Grail. Actually, it's not just Grail. I can't even remember what their Twitter handle is, but I mean, if you
Holy
type
Grail,
yeah, something like that. If you type @Grail, you know, it'll populate in there. But the whole point being that if there's an organization or a product that you really like as a geocacher, tweet out about it. Say, hey, yeah, I bought this, I use this, for #geocaching, right? Or @GoGeocaching. Just throw it all together in one tweet. Yeah, it is a great way to introduce geocaching to those organizations.
And you're reaching the people who are in social media, who understand the power of social media. And those are the people you really want to contact. So
yeah, for sure.
IHAM says you're just a year or 2 or 10 late for that Jeep thing. Tracy from World Caching says she can ship to Eastern Canada with Express Post and anywhere in the US for the next few days.
Well, there you go. So get your orders in fast.
Yeah.
Very cool. Busy chat tonight.
Yes, it was. Well, I know Seattle is talking about Chris Ronan. Well, at least you geocache. Yeah, well, you don't have to geocache to work at geocaching.com, but it helps.
Yes.
UDAC and sorry, I clicked and now I'm lost. UDAC and Wino Seattle both like the idea of Altoids working with geocaching.com for a trackable promotion.
Well, there you go. You know, again, Chris Ronan's given us the advice, so now we know what to do. Obviously, I was asking from a Canadian specific point of view on that, but really it works for anybody. If there's a, you know, Altoids, that's funny. That's clever. But
in the little paper wrapper that's in there, they just say, you know, save this for a geocache later.
Or they
geocache,
should,
what's that?
Print log. Log
yes, that paper should be the log sheet.
There you go.
Oh, wouldn't that be funny?
That's clever. Yeah. But yeah, I think
there's all smell like food, and you can't use that. But
Copyright.
those are curiously strong. Would animals want a curiously strong mint?
I guess if it's a curious animal, it might.
Oh, well, I know Seattle thinks Victoria Clipper should get in on that.
On
the geocaching trackable promotion.
Yeah, that's another good option. I mean, that's the thing, right? Is that we don't necessarily have all the answers. I like to think I do, but we don't necessarily have all the answers. And so that's why I love to get, you know, to pose these questions to folks like Chris from geocaching.com, get the answers of, you know, okay, look, we want to do this. How do we do it? Find out how we do it. And then just hand that information over to the community and say, guys, go nuts. Let's see what happens.
Let's get crazy. Let's go nuts.
Woot woot. Sorry, when we get these dramatic pauses, it's because we're reading through the chat and looking to see what the hashtag FATAS items are. That
Exactly. So yes, I have to go back through there and look. And okay, yeah, we talked about that. And
so B Pendragon, much earlier in the show when we were talking about Mount St. Helens, said an M1 is a magnitude 1 earthquake, probably moment magnitude scale. So there you go. And yes,
and
Dak said M1 is weak. Yes, it is amongst the weakest.
And Mount St. Helens blew, according to Wet Coaster, May 18th, 1980.
There you go. I was off by a year. But nicely done. Dora Moore joined us, but I think she missed the glow tonight, which was one of hers. So
yes, that's a shame.
Go back and listen to that.
Yes, since it was hers, she should. That was a fun glow, actually. It's very unusual.
Absolutely. Wino Seattle wanted to know what Canada's national parks are. There's a number of them, but they're not immediately accessible across most of the major Washington to British Columbia border crossings. You have to travel a little bit, but definitely if you check out the URL that we shared earlier, I'm going to scroll back up here and make sure I get the right one. Where are we? Oh, news. Parkscanada.gc.ca. Go to that website and you'll get a list of where all Canada's national parks are, and some of them are spectacular. Our provincial parks are amazing as well. We've just got some amazing beauty up here. We'd encourage everybody in Washington to come up and visit us, or well, everybody everywhere to come and visit us.
From coast to coast to coast?
And that's right. We're a 3-coaster.
Well, we have... No, never mind. We only have 2 oceans. I was going to say, do we have 2 oceans and a... No, it's just 2. No, we only got 2 coasts. Okay. First of all, Dora Moore says she was busy doing fun things. That's fine. Go do your fun things. We understand. B Pendragon says there are also quakes of negative magnitude. Logarithmic scales and limits do weird things to you as you go to the limit. Okay. Well, I know Seattle threw something out there, and I don't know if we'll do this or not, but I mean, I was thinking, do we make it a whole show? Nah. He says, question, why do they call it a game? I feel that it's repulsive to a cacher that believes strongly about their hobby and not wasting time every day looking for boxes associated with a game. I think a game communicates easier to a muggle, somebody who's never heard of caching. They understand a game. A scavenger hunt is a type of game, and they understand that. I think that's an easier introduction.
Well, and definitely there's a large number of us, and I include myself in there, to whom it's more than a game.
Mm-hmm.
But if you take a look at the overall numbers of how many people play geocaching, or how many people partake in geocaching, however we want to phrase that, I think it's a good point. And, again, the point I like to try and make every once in a while, that for geocaching.com, while it is a game, it's also a business for them. And they need to find ways to market to people who maybe aren't as fully versed in geocaching, of how to get involved and draw more people into playing. That's what they're doing, right? They've got bills to pay. So I always just try and look at it from that perspective as well. I think they do. I think the folks at Geocaching HQ do a pretty good job of balancing the fun aspects with the business aspects. But at the end of the day, they've got bills to pay.
Right. So yeah, I mean, it's a game, it's a hobby.
Yeah.
Tracy from World Caching says, it's an obsession. It is. And it's really a tough activity to identify one particular way because everybody does it in a different way. To some, it truly is a game. I'm going to go out and do this, when I have time. Other people, no, I've got to go out and do it every day. It's an obsession. I've got to go do this. So,
yeah, I've had that phase too.
Yeah. You could look at, Monopoly. Some people consider that an obsession. I have to play it and I have to win. Other people can go, I'll go at it and in an hour I'm done. We'll just put it away.
Yep. There you go.
So,
hey, Dora Moore shared her theory on how that cache got attached to the Muggles truck. She says there was a magnetic nano that was originally attached to a park bench. The guess is that someone had put a bag down under the bench and transferred it to a buckle or some metallic aspect of the bag. And then when that bag was put into the back of the truck, the cache then moved to wherever it had a stronger magnetic hold. So there you go. Good theory.
Yeah, that's just one of those things that I would love to actually know what happened, but
we may never know.
Nonetheless, I'm really glad that somebody took the effort to contact the geocaching community and attempt to get this replaced. I read this week, I have a Google alert for geocaching, and there was a Craigslist article or Craigslist, listing of somebody that bought a bunch of toy cars at a thrift shop, and one of them had a geocaching travel bug tag attached to it. And they're saying, hey, I thought I could do this, but this is a little more complicated. Geocaching seems a little more complicated than I want to get into. Can I just give this to you, anybody who will take it, and return it to the game that it belongs to? I was like, oh, okay, game, I'm sorry I threw that out there. I don't know what else to call it in this case. So anyway, so I thought that was interesting, and that was a coinsandpins.com tag, by the way. I took a picture. I saw a picture of it.
There you go. Awesome. And yeah, it's boy, we could probably go on a long time about the whole game versus hobby versus sport versus
some people consider it a sport. What do you consider hiking? Is it a sport or is it a hobby?
Honestly,
it depends on who's doing it, right?
It's an activity.
It's an activity.
I don't really refer to it as either.
There's no competitive hiking, right?
Well,
it's not an Olympic sport.
There's trail running and all that kind of stuff. I mean, you can have competitive versions of just about anything.
It depends on who's there.
Yeah. So, again, I think it's up to the individual. How geocaching.com brands it and how they speak of it is, again, it's going to be based out of their marketing approach to it. And I would just say, try not to let that bother you too much and just call it whatever you want to call it.
If America has multiple coasts, there is the Gulf Coast. That was the other body of water I was thinking of. But
right.
Winos, that was IHAM who mentioned that.
Sea?
Well, no. Winos also said, don't forget about Lake Erie. The Great Lakes there. The Great Lakes are, bigger
but if
than
you count the Great Lakes, then we've got 4.
We've got 5. Not that I'm counting, but homes, by the way. If you
there you go. That's
I'm reading through them.
Yeah. Tracy from World Caching says, I'm pretty sure that Mr. Land Monkey and Mr. Three Hams in a Row consider hiking a contest. Sounds like she's been out hiking with us.
It's true. And White Coaster says, with a Fitbit, walking can be competitive.
There you go.
Yes,
so So there you go. Absolutely. No, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We'll call it Walter.
Fitbit is dying.
I am. Nice.
I think my Fitbit is dying. It won't register steps. I have to long hold the button, and then it wakes up and it says, "Oh, yeah, here I am."
Which one do you have?
The one. The one to rule them all. The
one.
Fitbit one.
Okay.
Let's see. I've got it with me.
Oh, it's one of the dongle type ones.
Well, there it goes. Now it's broken.
Now it's done. Okay, so it's like one of the dongle type ones, not a wristband type.
Yeah. So, I've done more than 1,200 steps today, but it doesn't know that.
How many steps have I done? 8443.
Yeah, that's about where I should be. And so, if I long hold it, it wakes up and it says, "Oh, great." So I followed the steps to reset it. And for a couple of days, it seemed good. And then it went back to, well, not so good.
Yeah.
Disappointed with that.
That's too bad. Boy, there sure are a lot of fitness trackers out there now, though.
There really are. I don't like wearing a watch, so I'm not going to wear one around my wrist.
Okay.
And that eliminates 95% of them right there.
Well, I really like my Surge. I find it works really well. Plus, it has that Bluetooth connectivity, which is really handy for me. So, I quite like it.
Winos, Seattle, I'm not going to give you any sympathy. It's not too cold to cache. But do you know of any indoor caches other than the 6 labs and the 1 mystery at the Museum of Flight? Those are actually fun. I did those. There are several indoor caches. You can also do just do a park and grab. Turn your heater up high before you get out, grab it, come back in there. You won't even notice it's cold outside.
Hey, come on up to Vancouver. We've got some earth caches where you can pretty much park, briefly get out of your vehicle, make some observations, and
there you go.
So yeah, all kinds of great options.
Pendragon who done 6,305 steps according to his watch.
Well done. Well done. All right. Well, we figure we've got call it a night.
It's a night.
All right. Well, folks, once again, I want to thank you all for participating with us tonight. Yeah, you guys in the after show, the #FATAS crew, you definitely make it happen. Yep, definitely. GCD, there you go. I know Seattle's on it now.
Oh boy, GCD, it's time to go.
All right, folks. Cache safely and cache often.